part. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Excuse me. Text 1. Sutta Uvacha. अथ ते सम्परेतानां स्वानाम् उदकम् इच्छताम् दातुं सकृष्णगङ्गायां पुरस्कृत्य ययुस्त्रियः.
Sutta Goswami said, thereafter the Pandavas, desiring to deliver water to the dead relatives who had desired it, went to the Ganges with Draupadi. The ladies walked in front.
Next 2. तेनिनियोदकं सर्वे विलापं पुनः आप्लुता हरिपादाब्जा रजपूतसरिजले.
Having lamented over them and sufficiently offered Ganges water, they bathed in the Ganges, whose water is sanctified due to being mixed with the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord.
Text 3. Tatrashinam kurupatim dhritarashtraam sahanujam gandharim putra shokartam pritham krishnam cha madhavaha.
There sat the king of the Kurus, Maharaja Yudhishthira, along with his younger brothers and Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Kunti and Draupadi, all overwhelmed with grief. Lord Krishna was also there.
Text 4. Santvayamasa munibhir hata bandhunshu charpitan bhuteshu kalasya gatim darshayanna pratikriyam.
Citing the stringent laws of the Almighty and their reactions upon living beings, Lord Sri Krishna and the Munis began to pacify those who were shocked and affected.
Text 5. Sadhayitva chata shatro swam rajyam kitaverhritam gatayitva sato ragna kacha parshakshata.
The clever Duryodhana and his party cunningly usurped the kingdom of Yudhishthira, who had no enemy. But the grace of the Lord, the recovery was executed, and the unscrupulous king who joined with Duryodhana were killed by him. Others also died, their duration of life having decreased for their rough handling of the hair of Queen Draupadi.
Text 6. Yajayitva swamedestam tribhiruttamakalpake tadyashah pavanam dikshu shatamanyur ivatanot.
Lord Sri Krishna caused the 3 well-performed Aswamedha Yagnas, horse sacrifices, to be conducted by Maharaja Yudhishthira, and thus caused the virtuous fame to be glorified in all directions, like that of Indra, who had performed 100 such sacrifices.
Text 7. Amantriya Panduputramscha Shaine Yodhava Samyutaha Dvaipayanadibhir Vipre Pujitaha Pratipujitaha.
Lord Sri Krishna then prepared for his departure. He invited the sons of Bandhu, after having been worshipped by the Brahmanas headed by Srila Vasudeva. The Lord also reciprocated greetings.
Text 8. Gantum Kratamatir Brahman Dwarakam Rathamaastitaha Upalabhedi Davantim Uttaram Bhayavivalam.
As soon as he seated himself on the chariot to start for Dwarka, he saw Uttara running towards him in fear.
Next 9. Uttaruvacha Pahi Pahi Mahayogi Deva Deva Jagatpate Nanyam Twadabhayam Pasye Yatra Mrityuh Parasparam.
Uttara said, O Lord of Lords, Lord of the universe, you are the greatest of mystics. Please protect me, for there is no one else who can save me from the clutches of death in this world of duality.
Next 10. Abhidravati Mamisha Sharastaptayaso Vibho Kamam Dahatu Mam Natha Mame Garbho Nipayatam.
O my Lord, you are all-powerful. A fiery iron arrow is coming towards me fast. My Lord, let it burn me personally if you so desire. Please do not let it burn and abort my embryo. Please do me this favor, my Lord.
Text 11. Sutta Uvacha Upadarya vachastasya Bhagavan Bhaktavatsalaha Apandavam idam kartum Drone ashtrama bhutyata.
Sutta Goswami said, having patiently heard her words, Lord Sri Krishna, who is always very affectionate to his devotees, could at once understand the Ashwatthama, the son of Dronacharya, had thrown the Brahmastra to finish the last life in the Pandava family.
Text 12. Tarhi evatha Muni Shrestha Pandava Pancha Sayakan Atmano Bhimukhan Diptan Alakshyasthani Upadaduhu.
O foremost among the great thinkers, Munis, Sunaka, seeing the glaring Brahmastra proceeding towards them, the Pandavas took up their 5 respective weapons.
Text 13. Vyasanam vikshya tattesam ananya vishayatmanam darshanena swastrena swanam raksham yadhaduhu.
The Almighty Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, having observed that a great danger was befalling his unalloyed devotees, who were fully surrendered souls, at once took up his Sudarshana disc to protect them.
Text 14. Antahastha sarvabhutanam atma yogeshwaro harihi swamayayarnad garbham vairatya kurutantave.
The Lord of Supreme Mysticism, Sri Krishna, resides within everyone's heart as the Paratma. As such, just to protect the progeny of the Kuru dynasty, he covered the embryo of Uttara by his personal energy.
Next 15. Yadyapi astram brahmashiras-tva amogam cha pratikriyam Vaishnavam teja asadya samashamyad brigudvaha.
O Sunaka, glory of the Bhrigu family, although the supreme Brahmastra weapon released by Asvatthama was irresistible and without check or counteraction, it was neutralized and foiled when countered by the strength of Vishnu, Lord Krishna.
Text 16. मां स्थाह्येतद् आश्चर्यं सर्वश्चर्यमयेच्युते य इदं मायया देव्या सृज्यति यवन्ति हन्त्यजः.
O Brahmanas, do not think this to be especially wonderful in the activities of the mysterious and infallible personality of Godhead. By his own transcendental energy, he creates, maintains, and annihilates all material things, although he himself is unborn.
Text 17. ब्रह्मतेजो विनिर्मुक्ते आत्मजे सह कृष्णया प्रयाणाभिमुखं कृष्णम् इदमाह पृथा सति.
Thus saved from the radiation of the Brahmastra, Kunti, the chaste devotee of the Lord, and her 5 sons and Draupadi addressed Lord Krishna as he started for home.
Text 18. Kunti uvacha नमस्ये पुरुषं त्वाद्यम् ईश्वरं प्रकृते परम् आलक्ष्यं सर्वभूतानाम् अन्तर्बहिरवे स्थिताम्.
Srimati Kunti said, O Krishna, I offer my obeisances unto you because you are the original personality and are unaffected by the qualities of the material world. You are existing both within and without everything, yet you are invisible to all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, I'm just calling Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, he didn't answer his phone. Maybe we could start the invocation prayers and I can share my screen again.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. While we are waiting for Prabhuji, can somebody say the Mangala Charana prayers, please? Can we have a volunteer?
Rasarila Mataji, maybe you could do it. Start.
Okay, Mataji, 1 second. I will start.
Thank you, Mataji. I'll call Prabhuji again.
Okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, all glories to Srila. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Mangalacharan says, Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmritam Yena Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutpad Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Sta He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशकल्पतरुश्च कृपा सिंधु भैवच पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. And with pronounce.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udidayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Shavatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shamana Kirtanaha Hridyantasto Bhadrani Vidunoti Swahasatam. So we're reading from chapter 8 of kind of first and verse number 8. As soon as he seated himself on the chariot to start for Dwarka, he saw Uttara hurrying towards him in fear. So I just read Sanskrit. Gantum kritam matir brahman Dwarakam ratham asthitaha Uplebho abhidhavantim Uttaram bhaya vihavalam Gantum Kitamatir Brahman Dwarakam Ratham Astitah Uplebhe Abhidvavantim Uttaram Bhaya Vihavalam Gantum Kitamatir Brahman Dwarakam Ratham Astitah Uplebhe Abhidvavantim Uttaram Bhaya Vihavalam Gantum, just desiring to start. Kitamati, having decided, Brahman, O Brahman, Dwarakam, towards Dwarika, Ratham, on the chariot, Astitha, seated, Uplebha, saw, Abhidhavantim, coming hurriedly, Uttaram, Uttara, Bhaya, Bihavalam, being afraid. As soon as he seated himself on chariot to start for Dwarika, he saw Uttara hurrying towards him in fear. Purport by Sri All the members of the family of the Pandavas were completely dependent on the protection of the Lord, and therefore the Lord protected all of them in all circumstances. Lord protects everyone, but one who depends completely upon him is especially looked after by the Lord. The father is more attentive to the little son who is exclusively dependent on the father. Okay, so this is the continuation of history that is being presented before the birth of Parikshit Maharaj. So Parikshit Maharaj is going to take birth, and there was a question that was asked that who is this Parikshit who heard Srimad Bhagavatam? And in the series of these verses, we'll see an answer to that particular question. And here we can see that how Krishna is going to come forward and save Parikshit and Uttara from a great calamity. So I know the prayers have been offered, but I'll still like to offer the prayers to Spiritual Master and Srila Prabhupada. So please bear with me. Om Agyanam Thimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadan. Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhayeva cha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So perhaps this is the first time we are hearing about Uttara, and I'm sure most of the devotees have known about Uttara, who is Uttara, but I thought maybe we can talk about her a little bit. Who is Uttara? And actually, if we go back into the history of Mahabharata, we know that Uttara was the daughter of the king in the Matsya kingdom, in the kingdom of Virat. So when the Pandavas went to exile, and they have to live in incognito the very last year of their exile, Pandavas, they all changed and disguised themselves, and they became various servants of a king. They were kings, they were Kshatriyas, but they had to hide themselves. Very difficult for Kshatriyas to hide, specifically somebody like Arjuna, who was so powerful, who was known for his fighting skills. It is very, very difficult, rather impossible, to hide such a personality. But there was a beautiful boon given to, rather, it was a curse given to Arjun, which became like a boon. Arjun, when he went to Indralok, Arjun is son of Indra. So they are all sons of demigods, as we already know. By the blessings of Mother Kunti, they could all take birth from different demigods, and therefore they could travel to the different heavenly bodies. So Indra could travel from planet Earth to the planet, Arjun could travel from planet Earth to heavenly planet, or planet of Indra, Indralok. Indra is supposed to be the most powerful demigod, who is also directing all other demigods and helping them, helping in the affairs of the material world. So in Indralok, Arjun learned how to dance, and he became a perfect dancer. And because he was being enticed, but he did not give in to the Apsara desire of obtaining him for sense gratification, he was cursed that you will lose your manhood. Then that curse was limited for a certain period of time, just 1 year. So when Arjun had to go incognito, he took the effect of that curse at that point, and he assumed his body as a eunuch. And then, because he had learned this beautiful dancing, he could now teach Uttara the art of dancing. So later on, when King Virat, he realized that, oh, these are not ordinary people. They are the Pandavas, the famous five. He became a little ashamed of the services he was taking. Bhim became the cook. Nakul Sadev were in the astabal, looking after the horses. Yudhishthir was the mantri, and with whom he would play chess, etc. He became the prime minister, like that. And Arjun was teaching Uttara the dancing. In this way, he wanted to now reciprocate, and he said that, look, what if I offer my daughter to you for marriage? And when Arjun heard this, Arjun said that a relationship between a teacher and a student is like of a parent and a child. Therefore, I cannot accept this offer of marriage with Uttara. But then he thought and he suggested that why can't Uttara become my daughter-in-law and marry my son, my glorious son, Abhimanyu? And this way, Uttara got married to Abhimanyu. Now, we all knew this story. This is a beautiful pastime. But we also know the pastime of Abhimanyu, that he could just live 16 years on planet Earth, because he did come to assist the mission of the Lord from the planets of demigod. But his father said that he can go away only for 16 days to Mrityulok. It's not a great place to be in. 16 days of demigod planet is equal to the 16 years of earthly planet. Hence, in 16 years' time, by the providence, he has to go back, and that's what exactly happened. And we all know that how Abhimanyu was unjustly and brutally killed by the Kauravas in the Chakravyuh formation, and he had to leave. So now Uttara became widow at very young age. And fortunately, she was carrying the seed of Abhimanyu in the womb. And now that the war was over, unfortunately, this Asatthama, Guru Dron's son, his intelligence got completely contaminated, and he killed the 5 sons of Pandavas. Now there was no one to heir the kingdom in the future. The only Uttara Adhikari was Abhimanyu, Parikshit, who was still in the womb of Uttara. Now Uttara, therefore, becomes a very, very prominent character in the history of Mahabharata at this point in time. Therefore, her name is appearing here in Srimad Bhagavatam, that as when Lord Krishna has now kind of settled everything down, he came for the mission of annihilating the miscreants. Paritranaya sadhunam turashaya cha dushkritam. So he wanted to annihilate these miscreants. Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna can annihilate the enemies or the miscreants just by one natural calamity, one cyclone, one wind. That's not his main mission, but of course his main mission is to be with his devotees, to save his devotees. And therefore, Krishna appeared, and we will hear more in this chapter that how Mother Kunti will glorify Krishna so much more, as the chapter itself is called Prayers by Queen Kunti and Parikshit Saved. So this Asatthama, out of envy, he wanted to finish everybody. Even the last seed of Pandavas, which was Abhimanyu, so he released a nuclear weapon. This nuclear weapon had the power to kill the target alone. And therefore, Uttara was feeling this big heat coming to her. And she's approaching Lord Krishna. As Lord Krishna has already settled everything, he was seated on his chariot to start to go to his place, which is Dwarika. Suddenly, we see Uttara hurrying towards him in fear. She was fearful. And she will then start to pray to Krishna. But there's a beautiful verse. I'll just put my screen on. And in Canto 3, chapter 25, verse number 41, by Lord Kapila Dev, which is in line with some of the context that we are discussing right now. It talks about fear. It talks about fear in two ways. Nayatra mat bhagavataha pradhana purushekshwarat atmanah sarva bhutanam bhayam tivram nirvartate. Bhayam is fear. And nivartate is forsaken. So the terrible fear of birth and death can never be forsaken by anyone who resorts to any shelter other than myself. For I am the Almighty Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original source of all creation and also the Supreme Soul of all souls. Atmanaha Sarva Bhutanam. I am the Atma of all the living entities. Pradhana Purushwarat. I am the Almighty Lord. So if you go somewhere else to take shelter and leave my shelter, the fear of birth and death can never be forsaken. That's what Krishna is saying. And he wants quite exclusive devotion. Because he mentions that from the highest planet in the material world to the lowest planet, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains my abode, they never take birth again. O Brahma Bhuvna Loka Punaravartina Arjuna Mam Upetya Kanteya Punarjanmana Vidyate. So this birth and death, this is a continuous process in the material world. Continuous process. One cannot escape this process because Krishna has explained how this is a continuous process. Bhuktva bhuktva praliyate. It goes on. You cannot get out of this. In chapter 8 of Bhagavad Gita, verse number 19, and Srila Prabhupada is always quoting this line, Bhutva bhutva praliyate. Bhutagramasa evayam bhutva bhutva praliyate. Ratri agame vasha partha prabhavati ahar agame. It says, when Brahma's day arrives, all living entities come into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated. So Krishna has given a lot of knowledge about process of reincarnation in the previous chapters. He starts that in the very, very beginning, how living entity is changing the bodies, and how just like a person puts on a new garment, give up old ones, soul is accepting new material bodies and giving up the old ones. So this illusion, because of the false identity, he's identifying with the body, he's going through the process of birth and death, going through the continuous process of birth and death. So this continuous process of birth and death is kind of endless. It can be counted as eternal if somebody does not come to the platform of self-realization, because only then they will get out of this birth and death. Therefore, it is like continuous process till eternity. So it says that in the daytime of Lord Brahma, all the living entities are manifested. In the nighttime of Lord Brahma, they are all merged into Mahavishnu's body. And then again, in the daytime of Brahma, they get manifested. Ultimately, when Brahma's life is also finished, his 100 years are finished, they're all annihilated and remain unmanifested for millions and millions of years. This is Krishna's language. And when Brahma is born again in another millennium, they are again manifest. In this way, they are captivated by the spell of this material world. This is how they are all going through the cycle of birth and death. Birth and death. And this is the fear. There's a fear of death. There's a fear of birth. And when it's not guaranteed that what will you become? One can become anything. It says in chapter 15, verse number 9, living entity takes another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. Whatever state of being one remember, when he quits his body, O son of Kundi, that's the state he will attain without fail. So this is the situation of the material world. It's the Kalayam Shashvatam. And therefore, there is natural fears that exist. The fear of losing oneself, the fear of losing the loved ones, the fear of losing the reputation, fear of losing wealth, the fear of losing fame, name, fear of losing that what I don't have. Sometimes you think, if I do this, I will have it. And then the fear is that if I don't do this, I won't have that, which was never yours. There's all kinds of fears, fear of relationships. All kinds of fears are born out of the false identity of the body, and the biggest fear being the fear of death. Knowing that Atma is Ajanma, Atma is Amar, still we fear. So that's the fear. And Krishna is now mentioning this fear will not get away unless one resorts to take shelter of mind. The reason being, one comes to the lotus feet of Krishna, now can regain the identity of what relationship he has with Krishna. And that identity, gradually, he will lose the false identity of being the body and behave on the platform of body. And he will behave at the platform of soul or Atma. At that point in time, he would lose the fear of losing the body, which is the fear of death. Because Krishna is everything. And he is mentioned in the next particular verse in the teachings of Kapila Muni here. Krishna is saying, Madbhayad vati vato ayam suryastapati madbhayat varshatindro dhati agnir mrityuscharati madbhayat. Because of my fear, because of my supremacy, wind is blowing out of fear of me, sun shines out of fear of me, the Lord of the cloud, Indra, sends forth showers out of fear of me, fire burns out of fear of me, and death goes about taking its toll out of fear of me. Srila Prabhupada also gives example of how this ocean is remaining in its boundary. It's not crossing in the boundary out of fear of Krishna, out of fear of the Supreme. So it is therefore emphasized here, those who have taken shelter of Krishna, they will be completely protected from the influences, all other influences. And therefore, the fear will not come to them. Srila Prabhupada has mentioned here, by fear of the Supreme Lord, the wind god and sun god are acting. Bhishmad vata pavate bhishodeti suryaha. Then Bhishmad agnis chandrascha mrityu dhavat panchamaha. So these Agni, Indra, Mrityu are also acting under his direction. Maya dakshena prakriti suyate satcharacharam. Krishna has mentioned that in Bhagavad Gita, that it is under his direction, entire material energy is acting. So therefore, Uttara definitely knew this particular point, that she must reach out to Krishna, because Krishna is ultimately going to give protection. Nobody else can give protection except for Krishna. I'm just trying to get back into this. Yeah, stop share. So therefore, we understand from this verse of when we are helpless, when we are fearful, when we are not sure, when we are in the state of identity crisis, who am I? When I've lost my position, I've lost my roles in the society, I've been pushed out to behave in an identity which is not my identity, a negative identity. When I lose my wealth, and now I'm no more a wealthy person, so that's the identity taken away from me. When I lose my job, I'm no more a high-profile manager. That identity is taken away by nature. How do I react? How do I behave? How do I approach for my true identity? And that is Krishna. This is what we are learning from this shloka. How Uttara was sure that this energy is coming and it's going to kill my child. She's prepared and praying to Krishna, Krishna, if you want, let me die by this weapon, which is coming to me with great speed, but please save the child. Similarly, in our difficult situations, we can reach out to Krishna. We can pray to Krishna. We can literally put our heart out in our prayers to Krishna. There's no harm in doing that. Oh my Lord, you are the protector of all living beings. Please protect me from this situation. Give me intelligence. How can I react? How do I respond to this difficult situation in my own life? How do I have this faith that only you can save me from this situation? How should I completely believe and understand and act on this platform that I don't need to go to anybody else? I don't need to resort to the materialistic shelter. Rather, I come to your lotus feet. How do I have this faith that Krishna, you will completely protect me? Now, this is a sign of surrender. Under Sharanagati, this is one of the process or step of Sharanagati, that in whatever situation I am in however difficult it is for anybody, Krishna will completely protect me. By this conviction, by this trust, by this faith, devotee never comes into the mode of complete anxiety. He lives peacefully. He is able to do his bhajan with steadiness, with consistency. In the waves of ocean, material nature are coming up and down and slapping the living entity, sometimes with the happiness and other times with the miseries of this material world. But Krishna expects a devotee to act in an equanimous way, with the even mind. The mind is even in all situations. Krishna is expecting that in Bhagavad Gita. He's saying our devotees, they have even mind. They do not get worried and anxiety. Why? Because I am there for them and they are there for me. In this way, we can see how dependency on Krishna is complete protection and no other protection. And this is exactly what Krishna is here. So he is saying here in this verse that no other protection will save anybody. So I would stop here on this verse. If there are any questions or comments, we can discuss. I'm leaving some time for that. Hare Krishna. You can share if you had some difficult times and you felt protected by Krishna. You can share when you had difficult time and you took shelter of Krishna or devotees or anything else. Who else do we go to otherwise? Now we haven't got anybody else. We have just Krishna, right, as devotees. So we just go to Krishna for everything. And this is the right mood. This is the right behavior, which is what our scriptures are guiding us.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat pranam.
Dandavat pranam to you, Prabhu. Yes, I know time and time Krishna does protect his devotees. Yeah, I think I just remember two of the incidents. One I already shared, because when we had a post office in Swindon, we had an incident, and then the gunman came and we shouted Krishna, and like the gunman, even he frightened, he ran out and we ran away. So that way, by the name of Krishna, we got protected. And there was another incident. We were going for attending wedding in the north. We were going to Bolton, and yeah, we were just on the motorway, and there was one car's tire burst or something in front of us, and the car was spinning, changing 2 or 3 the lanes. And Prabhuji, he was driving, he was so scared because he the brake, he could not brake, and the brake could not work that fast. So, and then I started doing Narsingha prayers. And just, by doing Narsingha prayers, there was nothing else we can do. But then somehow or other, Prabhu managed to control the car. And then we just, but he parked on the side of the bay, I forgot the name, where we can park the car. And we just waited for a while. Then another person behind, they just stopped and they said, "Oh, are you okay?" So this is what happened. But then time and time again, when you remember Krishna in happiness and distress, Krishna does protect his devotees. But like as a devotees, we know that it's not all the time that Krishna is going to protect your body, but Krishna always protects your soul. So that's the wonderful, wonderful teachings of Srila Prabhupada, that we are so fortunate that we got some of the knowledge, and when it comes in need, we try to put it in practice. And we can see the results. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for sharing this wonderful realization. And many times in life of devotees, such incidents must happen because they bring our faith stronger in words of Krishna. Now, those devotees who can remember Krishna in the challenging times, then the most challenging time will come in our lives, which is death. And if we can remember Krishna because we have been put into difficult situation, in those difficult situations, we took shelter of Krishna, it can be sure that if we continue to practice Krishna consciousness, at the time of death, which is the most difficult time, most difficult exam of our life, we may remember Krishna. It says, Yam yam vapi smar bhavam, tajjatayante kalevaram. Tam eveti konteya sada tad bhava bhavita. A person who is remembering me at the time of death will obtain my nature. And this is the beauty of Krishna consciousness process. So therefore, sometimes people can question, oh, he's a devotee. Why is he going through this? Why is he going through that? No, but devotee must go through this, because where else will he practice the knowledge of spiritual life that he is obtaining or she is obtaining? So this way, challenges must come as they come in life of Pandavas. They were severe according to the capacity of living entity, their trust and faith. Challenges must come, and they will make the faith stronger in Krishna consciousness. And that helps us to come closer to Krishna. Every single challenge will help us to come closer to Krishna. What Krishnavani Mataji has shared has brought her much closer to Krishna, isn't it?
Yes, Prabhuji. And like Srila Prabhupada says that, when we start practicing from an early age, then hopefully at the time of our final exam, we will remember Krishna. So we just have to develop our love for the holy name all the time. So at least at the final exam, we will remember Krishna. So we all have to pray for each other so we can pass our final exams. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Is there anybody else inspired to share something?
Hare Krishna, Manu Prabhu, it's a wonderful class. Yeah, you just took us how Krishna protects and how Uttara's faith on Krishna was so strong that he knew that nobody else can save the child or her except Krishna. So that's we have learned here now more and more how we can really have our faith and not to worry at all, not to worry whatever happened. I just had a little bit of I just remember when Krishna Purna's husband Harivamsa Prabhu, he had the operation, he was in hospital, and then I think Krishna Purna was going to get some, because they were going to take him to the theater, and he said, no, my wife is coming, she has something. So Krishna Purna was going to bring Tulsi leaf, but in between he rang Shuddhidharma Prabhu and Pranavanda Prabhu. They were in Mayapur at that time, just before the operation. And he said, what happened if I don't remember Krishna?
Oh.
And before the operation, and suppose I leave my body. He said, no, Gauranga Mahaprabhu will be in your tongue. And so that's the faith. He had the operation, and but he left his body. I'm sure he remembered. And then Bhakti Charu Maharaj was actually waiting in the airport, and suddenly this message came to him, to Bhakti Charu, and that actually Bhakti Charu Maharaj, when he was speaking in his funeral, he said, I saw Harivamsa was taken by Srila Prabhupada, to the in front of thousands of people online and practically. He said he saw Srila Prabhupada taking Harivamsa Prabhu.
Wow. Very bold.
So it's so, it's so powerful having faith on Krishna. Thank you.
Harivamsa Prabhu ki jai.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing this. It's so amazing. Such amazing, wonderful devotee, Harivamsa Prabhu, with love and shelter. We have all felt that.
Yeah.
And we certainly pray. Yeah. So if we can just believe on few words that Krishna is saying, that happens, that you would, if not become Krishna conscious, take birth again and again. Bhutya bhutya praliyate. Take my shelter, that way you can perhaps you will definitely get out of this cycle of birth and death. This verse of Krishna, I was just hearing Srila Prabhupada lecture this morning, and he was saying that what is faith? Faith, what is it? that you call faith. And he said faith is complete trust on what the spiritual master is saying, complete trust on what Krishna is saying, without a little iota of doubt.
Mm.
So if we can have this faith that what Krishna is saying, that when you quit this body, you will be grouped about the mind and the desires of the mind, and that body will be given to you again. Now this, nobody's seeing this happening, right? So nobody's trying to believe this, but this is the fact, this is the truth, this is the ultimate one truth, that body will die, and not this everybody sees, but still they don't want to believe it. But second part, they don't see. But that is what we need to believe as devotees, that a birth will happen again. But if we come to Krishna's planet, if we come to Krishna's abode, Krishna is guaranteeing there'll be no such thing like birth ever again. Krishna is so kind. He's saying, one who comes to me, he never comes back again. He never takes birth again in this material world. Isn't that so promising?
Yes.
But somehow or the other, we have to have this faith in Krishna, that Krishna, you are saying this must happen. Therefore, we must keep going with complete determination and in the process of devotional service to Krishna. And that way, we can also become successful, following the footsteps of all the acharyas and very successful devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Is there anything else somebody wants to share?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, and pranams of Prabhupada.
Pranam, Prabhuji.
Just to add to that wonderful class and wonderful realizations that devotees have shared. Krishna is so merciful that even for a pure devotee who has spent his entire life in Krishna consciousness, doesn't even have to worry about remembering Krishna at the time of death. Even if he doesn't, Krishna will remember him. Whether the devotee is able to remember Krishna or not, because of his service to Krishna, Krishna will remember that devotee. So one's consciousness should be just to surrender to Krishna and leave everything to him.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you very
It's a
much.
nice realization that I picked up from one of Srila Prabhupada's lecture, that Krishna will not forget his devotee regardless of the devotee remembering on him or not at the time of death. It was such a nice class. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much. Yes. Okay. So I think this brings to end of this class today. And I'm looking forward to see you all again. Thank you for coming together. It gives me an opportunity to study Srila Prabhupada books with some focus and attention by all of your mercy. So I'm very grateful to all of you. Thank you all. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa
Nice class.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.